At the dawn of the 14th century, one city stands at the center of power in Western Europe. Kings rule from it. Scholars debate inside it. Wealth flows through it. Nearly 200,000 people crowd within its walls, making it larger than any other city in the region. This is Paris, and in the year 1300, the decisions made here shape the future of an entire kingdom. It is the political heart of a rising kingdom. France is ruled by Philip IV of France, a powerful and determined monarch whose officials govern one of the largest realms in Europe. From his palace on the Ile de la Cité, royal courts make decisions that ripple across the entire kingdom. Every road in France seems to lead here. To understand medieval Europe, you first have to understand this city. So today, we step back in time to walk the streets of Paris at the height of the Middle Ages, and we begin where the city itself began. The island in the middle of the river, the Ile de la Cité. This is the oldest part of Paris, the place where the Roman city of Lutetia once stood nearly 1,000 years earlier. As you approach the island, one structure dominates the skyline: Notre-Dame Cathedral. Construction began in 1163, and by the year 1300, generations of craftsmen have spent more than a century building the cathedral stone by stone. Notre-Dame is more than a church. People come here every day, not only to pray, but to hear announcements, settle disputes, attend royal ceremonies, and take part in the festivals that fill the Paris calendar. Major events in the kingdom are proclaimed here. When a king returns from war or a royal marriage is celebrated, crowds gather in the square outside the cathedral to witness the ceremony. Inside, priests conduct multiple masses every day, while pilgrims arrive, hoping to see the sacred relics kept by the cathedral. But for most residents, Paris in 1300 is not experienced as grandeur. It is experienced as pressure. Nearly 200,000 people are confined within walls that were never designed for such numbers. Streets are narrow. Houses lean over the roadway, their upper floors almost touching. Sound carries easily. Merchants shouting, carts grinding against stone, church bells overlapping across the river. Each morning, labourers crowd the banks of the Seine as barges arrive with grain and timber. Markets swell with buyers and inspectors. Entire buildings hold multiple families. Shops open directly onto streets that never fully empty. Migrants continue to arrive from the countryside, adding to a population already straining its space. Paris is not quiet, and it is not spacious. It is compressed. For most who live here, the city does not feel majestic. It feels relentless. To get an idea of the education of this time, we will now travel to the Latin Quarter. Here, the streets are filled with students speaking Latin, the shared language of scholars across medieval Europe. Young men from England, Germany, and Italy travel here to study at the University of Paris, one of the greatest centres of learning in the medieval world. Inside the lecture halls, masters teach theology, philosophy, and law to packed rooms of students. Much of their teaching is built around the works of ancient authorities like Aristotle, whose writings had recently been rediscovered and translated into Latin. But learning does not stop when the lectures end. Outside, debates spill into taverns where scholars argue late into the night about Aristotle, scripture, and the nature of power. The ideas formed in these streets travel far beyond the city. Kings consult Paris scholars on difficult political questions. Church leaders seek their advice on matters of doctrine. In a world where religion and politics are deeply intertwined, the arguments taking place here can influence entire kingdoms. At the western edge of Paris stands the Louvre, In the year 1300, it is not yet the palace or museum the world knows today. It is a fortress. At its centre rises the Great Tower, a massive stone keep nearly 30 metres tall, surrounded by its own defensive ditch and thick walls built to withstand siege. Around it stretches a fortified courtyard lined with curtain walls and defensive towers. Archers watch from the battlements while guards control the gates. The fortress was built more than a century earlier by King Philip II to defend the capital from invasion along the Seine. By the end of the 13th century, walls now surround the entire city of Paris, protecting its growing population. When King Philip IV stays in the city, the Louvre also serves as a royal residence. Inside are living quarters, chapels, kitchens, and workshops where weapons and armour are maintained. The Louvre reminds us that medieval Paris is not only a city of scholars and merchants, it is also the seat of royal power. Beneath the streets of Paris, the city continues in a different form. Below the level of the road, within the stone foundations of the Grand Chatelet, are its holding cells, part of the same building that controls the bridge, the courts, and the flow of goods into the city. These cells are built low, some partially below ground, with thick stone walls that trap cold and moisture. Light is scarce, entering only through narrow openings or carried in by torch. This is not a prison for long sentences. In medieval Paris, most people held here are waiting for judgment, not serving time. Some remain for days, others for weeks, depending on how quickly their case is heard. And those inside are not all violent criminals. The records show that debt alone can lead to imprisonment, alongside theft or other accusations. Conditions inside are uneven. A prisoner with money may be able to pay for better food or bedding. But most are held in crowded spaces, sleeping on straw, with little separation from others. Above them, only a few feet overhead, the busiest crossing in Paris continues to move, and the city carries on, directly over those still waiting in the dark. As night falls in Paris, the city changes quickly. In the year 1300, the city is in near pitch-black darkness until sunrise. In those shadows, theft and drunken fights become far more common. Soon after sunset, bells ring across the city, announcing the evening curfew. Shop doors close, shutters are fastened, and most ordinary work comes to an end for the night. At the same time, the gates of Paris are closed. Heavy wooden doors are secured along the city walls, and anyone who has not made it inside must wait outside until morning. Inside the walls, watchmen begin their patrols. Carrying lanterns and long staffs, they move through the streets, listening for disturbances and keeping order until dawn. Anyone walking the streets after dark is often expected to carry a lantern, so city officials can see who moves through the darkness. The bridges over the Seine are carefully guarded, since they are some of the few places where the river can be crossed at night. Yet not all of Paris sleeps. Inside taverns along the riverbanks, merchants and sailors drink wine late into the night, while voices and laughter echo into the dark streets. As evening deepens, smoke rises from thousands of hearth fires. Boats drift slowly along the darkening river, while the bells of Notre-Dame echo across the rooftops. Paris, in the year 1300, is a city of noise, smoke, ambition, and faith. A place where scholars debate new ideas, merchants grow wealthy from trade, and kings rule an expanding kingdom. Most of the people walking these streets tonight will never know how famous their city will become. But many of the places we have visited still stand. Notre-Dame still rises above the river. The Louvre still watches over the western edge of the city. And the Seine still flows through the heart of Paris, just as it did 700 years ago. The medieval city may be gone, but its foundations remain. And beneath the modern streets of Paris, the past is never very far away. Leave a comment for which historical place and time you would like to see come to life, and it may make the next video. Thank you for watching.